Next up, we're going to talk about formatting numbers. Often in Excel, we'll be looking at data, numeric data, which will have associated number formats. For example, here we have some data. We have dates, which are numbers formatted as dates, as we looked at in previous videos. We also have some unit cost information, quantity of units, and a total column as well. So let's just go through these individually and look at some of the different ways we can change that number formatting. So as opposed to color and style formatting, which we've just looked at, this is exclusively to do with number formatting. So first of all, let me take my date column. I'm going to select that information by taking the top value in the cell, holding Shift Control and pressing down. As mentioned before, it's well worth learning these shortcuts. Okay, I'm now going to change the date format. Excel will by default use short date, but for whatever reason you might want to try a long date so you can actually see what day, month and year in longhand. I'm getting those hash signs because Excel is telling me that the data I'm trying to convey in one cell is not fitting in that cell. I'm going to expand this column header so that we get rid of all of those hashes. And now you can see that I have exactly the same information as I had before, but the number formatting is different. Excel is interpreting the number in a different way and displaying different information. The inherent value stays the same. Okay, let's move on to other types of number formatting. Again, I can select this entire unit cost column by selecting the top cell, holding Shift, Control and pressing down. Using my number formatting options, I can then apply the two most obvious options are going to be currency or accounting. I simply prefer the look of currency, but depending on your job role and how you need to present your data, you might use the accounting format. Excel has now changed the formatting of this cell. And just a reminder, we're not changing the data value. As I look in my formula bar, I can see that the number is still just a number, 2.99. Yet the formatting applied to that cell is interpreting the number as a dollar value. I'm not going to do anything with my unit cost. It is simply a whole round number. I don't need to add currency or any other functions. So let's move on to my total value here. Again, I might want to format this number as currency to keep it consistent. But potentially if this number was to become very, very big, I might not be interested in the cents. I may only be interested in the dollar value. So let's have a look at how I can remove decimal places. Here we have the increase and decrease decimal places. So let's try decreasing decimal places. And the number is shrunk. Notice that any values that have been removed will round up or down appropriately for that number. Again, we are not changing the data values, we are just changing the formatting. We also have different types of number formatting. So, for example, here we may have a margin column or a sales tax column, for example. I'm going to enter the number 10 for my sales tax. And I can use the Control copy down, or I'm just going to use the fill handle, double click, and it will send that value down, copying all the way down the column. Let's add a column header, sales tax, and we can see that my value is formatted as percentage. If I just format this as general or as number, we will see that the actual value is just 0.1, but interpreted as a percentage, we will then see the full 10% with 2 decimal places. I can leave the 2 decimal places or remove them or add them as I see fit. In previous chapters we have looked at other number formatting such as date and time. We won't go over those again, but we know that those are different ways that we can interpret data in Excel by formatting it as a date or a time or date time, combining both. Next up, I want to go into a slightly more advanced topic, and that's to look at custom number formatting. For this example, I'm going to select my date column, and instead of going into selecting one of the presets, I'm going to click on my expanding button here to look at more detailed number formatting. This is where Excel stores the different date formats, number formats, currencies, etc. And within this window, we can make small customizations to the way data appears. For example, within date, I have a huge number of different preset date formats. So I could choose from one of these other alternatives. For example, this one. In some situations, we may want to add even more customization than that. And in that situation, we can use a custom number format. This will give me now complete control over my number formatting. So for example, I'm going to take this basic format, I'm going to copy that, replace all the other unnecessary formatting information that I don't need, and just stick with day, day, month, 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 year, year. As you can see, my custom formatting is being reflected in my sample. Any changes that I will make to my custom formatting, we'll be able to observe in the sample. So for example, if I want to change my formatting from 1st of July 10 to make it 1st of July 2010, I can simply add on YY to tell Excel that I want to see all of the year. I may also want to change my month from a 3-letter abbreviation to just the number. If I take one M out, it will revert back to a 2-digit number. If I want to make this a longhand, the full entire month described, I can make it 4 M's, and Excel will interpret that as a full month. With July, it's maybe not visible, but if we had another month selected, for example September, I'd be able to see the whole word September here displayed. To add day of the week, I simply need to add day, 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 and that will convert my day to day of the week. In this situation, I may want day of the week and day of the month. So I might leave a space and then add in day, day again. Now I have my 3 Ds for the day of the week and DD to just display the day of the month. I can also remove 1D and I will get a single digit day of the month. As that month evolves to be the end of the month, say for example the 28th of July, we would see 28. But if we're in single digit days of the month, then only 1 digit will be displayed. Let's just click OK and see that applied to my text. Sure enough, my custom formatting has now been applied to the entire column. Custom formatting is a somewhat more complex and advanced feature. To understand the functionality better, open up your number format, choose Custom, and experiment with the different formatting options. To get a pre-selected format as a template, you can start by selecting currency, for example, and then return to Custom. You now have the default currency format loaded, and you can choose to modify that format from here, for example, removing 2 decimal places. So load up the example workbooks provided in the course and experiment with different formatting to see what outcomes you get. That concludes our chapter on number formatting.